Hey everyone. So today I want to talk a little bit about just how miraculous really the human body is, and if it wasn't such a miracle, we probably wouldn't actually be alive today. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why that is. So pretty much from birth, we are subjected, well, probably even before birth actually, but if I talk about from birth onwards, yeah, it'll make it a bit easier. So from when we're born, like even with the cutting of the umbilical cord, in those however many seconds, minutes, whatever, from the moment baby's out to that first breath where they start to, get oxygen through into their lungs and get their lungs inflated. However long that period of time is, what's happened over time. So it used to be a case of, when baby was taken out, they'd be just placed up on mum's chest, and the umbilical cord wasn't immediately cut, and then, baby would take a few breaths, and then they'd take baby back, clamp or tie off, and then, and cut the umbilical cord. Well, that's actually quite vital, because during however long that is from baby to take his first breath, baby's not actually getting any oxygen if they've already cut the umbilical cord. So when you think about it, if it takes baby 30 seconds before he takes that first breath, if he's still hooked to the umbilical cord, he's still getting oxygen through the blood from the placenta. But if he's not, then, that in itself, so you've got that period of time where there's no oxygen in the blood going to the brain. And so, if baby doesn't take a breath for a minute or two, that can become, around brain damage. So why do we cut the cord immediately? Why not wait until baby's breathing and is, maybe breathe for a minute or two and then clamp the cord off, giving baby much better chance of not being affected by lack of oxygen to the brain. So that's kind of the first thing really, to help us. I guess then the second thing, we've got all the vaccinations. So now they do a Hep B within 24 hours. Now some babies have died. I saw one the other day, born perfectly healthy, and within that 24 hours she had actually died. Oh, such a shame. Anyway, I don't really want to get into a vaccine issue, so I'm not going to go too much into vaccines, other than to say that, like, when I was growing up, we had 13 vaccinations from birth, but I think you started at about 6 months old then, till you were 18. And now it's 49 doses, so that's what, four and a half times the amount. And I've never had much in the way of illnesses. So you've got baby, they have lots of vaccinations, so you've got that side of it. Then you've got the chemicals in pretty much every processed food that we eat. So you've got all your preservatives, your colourings. When they say natural, they're not as natural as you think they are. They say natural flavourings and things. I find that very questionable, and some of the natural flavourings are not things you'd actually want to eat, and they don't specify what they are and where they're coming from. I'd really like all of them taken out of our foodstuffs, all of these artificial. And in fact, even some of these where they say it is a natural flavouring, I'd like to know exactly what it is, because most of them are synthetic chemicals The synthetic sugars are really, really bad for us. The likes of aspartame actually plays havoc with the chemicals in your brain, and actually creates cravings for sweet things. So we've got that in our food, which then causes you to want sugar, which messes with your whole system as well. Then you've got, on the farming side of food, you've got chemicals that are sprayed onto crops for pest resistance. And then you've got chemicals that are sprayed onto fruit trees as well, onto produce, like when they cut packaged food like sliced lettuce, it's all washed to keep it fresh and keep it green. Now, I know I use it this way, or before I was aware of this, I used to use it this way, and now I just don't use it at all. You know, when you buy that bagged lettuce, you don't take that out, wash it, and then put it on your salad. You just take it straight out of the bag and put it on your salad, because it's what I call pre-prepped. I mean, that's the whole point of the convenience, why they do it in the first place. And because we don't wash it, but it's actually been sprayed with chemicals to keep it green longer. And so ever since I learnt that, I was like, nah, I don't want it. So if I can't wash it, and I usually wash all of my fruits and vegetables in bicarbonate of soda, a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water, and just leave them to soak for a little while, and you get this film comes off them. So the fact our bodies are actually able to cope, or to a certain extent we're still alive, but they're not coping now with the assault on them, which is why there's so much illness. So we've got vaccinations from childhood, then we've got the foodstuffs, the sugars, the preservatives, the chemicals. And we can see from the amount of illness in society, you've got all illnesses that I had never heard of when I was a child, like autism, ADHD, ADD, and many others. Plus you've got a lot of childhood cancers now. Then what else do we have that can assault us? So we talked about on crops, and then within milk you've got growth hormones. So to produce more milk within the cows, they give them growth hormones to produce more. And then on beef cattle you've got growth hormones and antibiotics, because of course the pharmaceutical companies do for animals the same as they do for humans, and they want customers for life. So by saying, through vets that, do your annual immunisations, then, it keeps your herds healthy, which we had cattle long before, we had medicines and things, and they were perfectly healthy before, and now sometimes, depending on how they're treated, so intensive farming, cattle have a 2 to 4 year lifespan, whereas it's 4 or 5 times that long. 20-year-old cows were quite common, when I was a child. So it's actually quite a shame, to be honest. And anyway, so that in cows, and then I think we've got antibiotics in sheep, plus sheep dip. If they do sheep dip here, I know they do in the UK. I'm not so sure if I've never actually seen it in Australia, them going through a sheep dip, but they do spray chemicals onto them for fly strike and things. And that, our skin is the biggest organ of the body. So, and it absorbs everything from the fumes around us in the air to water to pretty much everything. And so these chemicals will be going into the body and stored somewhere within the body. And then you've got, of course, medicines. So if you're sick and you go to the doctor to get medicines, then you've also got medicines, and all medicines are all synthetic. So anything that is found in nature is not a medicine. And this is because you can't get a patent on something that is in nature. And hence why things like cannabis are banned, because it's a natural product and no one can make money off it. But I think they're now trying to figure out how to make money off it, which is why they're looking at legalising it for medical, especially cannabis, or for medical purposes. But they still want to restrict it as a scheduled drug. And then we've got chemtrails, so seeding the weather, manipulating weather conditions, and I'm not going to speculate on what else they're spraying, but if you just look at chemtrails itself, we have that in the air that we're breathing. It's going into our skin again, it's getting into our water, it's getting into everything that we eat, because again it all drops down eventually and goes into the ground. So again, it will be in our foodstuffs. So we've got that, and then we've got pollution in our oceans and our water. Our tap water is contaminated with fluoride and chlorine, which are fluoride is a neurotoxin, and is not good for us, and yet it is still being put into our drinking water, even though we're very aware of what it is. And there are few to any filters that can actually reduce it. I think reverse osmosis does, and there may be a few filtration systems, but a lot of these filters where you just take the tap water into the filter and filter it, none of those are removing fluoride. So then we've got chlorine in swimming pools. So, you know, your kids, once they start school, tend to go to a public pool throughout the summer months, if they don't have one actually in school. So, you know, you're absorbing chlorine and what other chemicals they use in them nowadays. I know chlorine is one. Personally, I'd rather have a magnesium pool than a chlorine one. So you have that, which again is absorbed. If you swim underwater with your eyes open, you swallow it, and it's also being absorbed through your skin. So your body is also having to cope with that. Then you've got the likes of fast food, convenience food, all pre-packed, where you can either take it home and chuck it in a microwave, or you go through a drive-through, or go into, you know, a Macca's restaurant or KFC or whatever. High fats, high sugar, high salts, and not a good salt either. And then what else? So, and then you have doctors and health advisors saying, don't have salt, it's bad for you. Okay, so some salts are bad for you, especially the table salts that you can buy that have, it's a decaking material in it, so it stops it going together. Because if you've ever ground your own salt, from being a coarse salt into a fine salt using a NutriBullet or something, you will find that your salt goes hard. It goes hard into a block. Well, what they do, they add a chemical or a powder into your salt that stops it from caking together, you know, going into a hard ball. So you really don't want that in your body. However, Himalayan salt, Celtic salts, are actually really, really good for you, and your body actually needs salt. And I actually think that a lot of illness is because people have actually got so frightened now of having salt. You actually do need salt, but you need good salt. So stay away from the likes of the table salt and processed food, and make sure you get some, as I say, Himalayan salt, Celtic salt. Just put a small amount into a bottle of water and let it dissolve in there, and drink that throughout the day, because your bones are actually 21% salt. And I might talk a little bit at the end about different foods that target different elements within the body. And so we've got salt. Yeah, so salt's been removed, so we actually need to really be adding salt back in, but good salt, not bad salt. And then we've got, what else is a salt on the body? So then we've got things like suntan lotion. So a lot of suntan lotions are carcinogenic, meaning they cause cancer. And when you look at the amount of skin cancer, the increase in skin cancer, especially in Australia, where we get the sun for so much of the year, and every year you get your 3 S's: slip, slap and slop. And so it's being advertised and having out, get suntan lotion on your skin. Yeah, put poison chemicals on your skin. Let that one sink in for a little bit. Now, there's a solution to that one. We are supposed to get exposure to sun. It is how our bodies obtain vitamin D. Don't go and buy a supplement and think that's your vitamin D. It is not. Get out in the sun. But another thing, get your sunglasses off. Sunglasses, I used to wear them all the time. I was always burnt, always blistered, always having major issues with my skin in the sun. Then I listened to a very, very wise man, and what he said made absolute sense to me, and so I'm going to pass on the information. So what happens is your eyes, when you're out in the sun, your eyes advise your brain how much sun and heat is there through receptors in your eyes. Your brain then tells your skin how much moisture to put out. It produces your own suntan lotion. It protects you. So your skin then pumps liquid to the surface of your skin so that you can get a nice tan without burning. I am talking about don't get excessive out in the sun for hours and hours, but get a reasonable suntan. We're supposed to do that every year. It strengthens your bones, gives you really good vitamin D. But get your sunglasses off. If you're going to be in the sun, no sunglasses, because your body can then cope with it. If you want to put something on, use coconut oil, though, is actually really good as a suntan lotion. Not so sure about children, but yeah, just don't let them be in the sun in the heat of the day. Just don't be having your kids out there in full sun for hours and hours and hours. But you do need to be getting sunlight for periods of time. 20 minutes here. Most of the time I'm out in the cooler of the morning and the cooler of the afternoon, late afternoon, but midday right up till probably 5 o'clock in high summer, I'm not in the sun. So you just, if you're going to go and lay on a beach, then you're probably going to burn unless you want to wear suntan lotion. There probably are some really good ones now that don't have carcinogens in. So look for those, but look for natural ones. Don't just use anything on the shelf because it says it's a +30 or a +50. Get one that is a natural one and is not a carcinogenic. They do state whether they're a carcinogenic or not on them. So a lot of the traditional ones that have been around for a long time certainly are and have side effects. So anything that's got a side effect is generally a chemical of some sort. So they're the ones you want to be really careful of. So I think that's it for today. Just really wanted to talk a little bit about, health and why humanity. One, that our bodies are so incredible because they're coping with, poorly maybe, but they have coped with the amount of abuse that we give them. And, and you can reverse the effects of damage that you do to your body. You can go on, do some water fasting, juice fasting, remove processed foods from your diet. You will lose weight, your skin will clear, your body will heal itself if you give it the opportunity. So if you are sick, you've got diabetes and all these other issues, then there are ways to actually heal yourself just by removing a lot of the toxins from your system. And talking about that, actually thinking about toxicity in your system, your thoughts can also be toxic and cause acidity within the body. So the lower vibrations, so anger, guilt, shame, all of those kind of what I call low vibrations, low frequencies, will cause toxicity and acidity in your system. Now, things to remove those are meditation. Walking is really good for things like depression. So getting exercise is really good, and it also helps your lymphatic system. Drinking really good water, so filtered water, get as much of the chemicals out as you can. I use a water to distiller, so I distill my water and then put it in the sunlight to re-energize it. I put a bit of salt in it, and that's how I have my water to get the toxins out of it. Get some decent sunlight. Sun also is really important for depression. And laugh. Laughter, joy, happiness, they are all the much higher vibrations, and they alkaline the body, which diseases can't grow in an alkaline body. So by causing alkalinity in your body, you can also start to heal and reverse some of the effects of toxins. So just wanted to give you a little bit of information. Oh, actually, we'll do a little bit more. Food. So if you want to understand how certain foods can heal certain parts of your body, look up, and he does a really good talk actually on YouTube. And then if you feel you need to, and I've done some of his courses and spent time with him, look up Tolman. You can look up Tyler Tolman as well. Tyler's running some things in Bali, and he comes over to Australia, and so does Don. And it was actually Don Tolman that told me about the sunglasses that just made so much sense to me. And I now don't wear sunglasses at all. And so, I can go out in the sun for hours and hours now and not get burnt, because my body has learned, or it's relearned after not learning, because the sunglasses actually block the receptors. So yeah, amazing man. You'll be able to find some YouTube stuff with him. But different fruits and vegetables correlate to different parts of the body and the different energy chakras within the body. I'll maybe do another video about chakras and things another day. But I was talking specifically about salt and celery. If you look at celery, it's got the veins in it. So celery is 21% salt, which is what your bones need. Voice is getting very dry. What your bones need for, for strength. So if you don't have good salt, you'll end up with brittle bones, and they'll decalcify. So then you'll break bones really easily. And my mum's actually got a fractured hip. So I'm seeing this a lot in older people, and they're the ones being told mainly, or it's being directed towards them, about taking salt out of your diet, and then they end up with brittle bones. And so, you can start to link all these different things together and go, yeah, maybe it's not all so good. So have a think about it. None of this is health advice. I just want to put my thoughts out there and, just get you thinking about, one, how amazing we are or our bodies are, and how they can actually cope with what we throw at them every day of our lives. From the moment we're born, all right, I know a lot of the choices aren't ours specifically, they're our parents from when we're very young, but yeah, it's a miracle that we're actually even still here. So just wanted to put that out there and send you all some love, and have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.